Alright, and we're back, and I definitely don't need to have that on screen now. And is it updating? Perhaps. Actually, yes, really quickly. I'm rather impressed with that. Okay, so we got the details, and we've got the playlist, and it's in Microbuilds, and it's in all, and it's done, and we save, and we go back to the studio home, and I go to the content, and I go to the playlists, and I go to Microbuilds, and I edit the order because actually, okay, no, the order is correct this time. Sweet, excellent. All right, we are good to rock and roll all night and party every day, as has been said by somebody far more famous than I. All right. So looking at applications of basically Microbuilds. So the first one I'm going to be showcasing is basically just like 100% meme and not actually something to be taken seriously, but something that is theoretically viable, and I've actually tried it out a little bit. So this is the sea urchin. A lot of marine biology going on recently between the sea urchin and the crab, admittedly. But in any case, the sea urchin was basically my thoughts on, you know, what if you were to make a wedge in every direction, or more so, now that we have our friend, the freight train plow, how good of a pyramid of wedges can you make effectively? So this is that attempt. As you could probably tell, I do not actually have the freight train plow unlocked, so I do not have it equipped on here. I have more or less the mass available in order to equip it. I will have to wean some stuff down once I get it, but basically the plan is I would just replace it right there. But in any case, the gist of this is it's designed to be a wedge in every direction, and it functions basically just by anchoring itself to the ground with a skinner, because skinners are basically impossible to break between you and the environment for reasons I don't fully understand. And it uses the cockpit cabin because it's the itsy-bitsiest semi-viable cabin. The sprinter cabin, for instance, is actually smaller as far as total volume, but it's also a white cabin and only has like what, 8 energy points, so not exactly terribly viable. Plus, it's actually taller than this. The cockpit is the shortest cabin in the game at a whopping 3 pips. So the wedge shape, I think, is served much better with this. So the functionality of this is basically tether yourself to the ground and then use wheel drones, just because those are what I'm currently doing trials for, and I have them, and they kind of fit because they're boxes, and there's a reason for me to stand stationary in the middle of combat and, you know, use them. So I'm basically acting as one big reverse cap can mine. Now I will mention that I haven't actually used it ever in battle. I tested this premise out in easy raids, and it works because bots are terrible at shooting at a cabin through a bunch of plows, it turns out. It's interesting to note that the wheels I'm using are all ride variable height, so the stallions and the camber. And there's a very good reason for that, and that is because due to the extremely low height of them already, and the height of the sidekick boxes, and the height of the skinner, you can actually suspend yourself off ground, which, if you recall from the directly earlier video like 5 minutes ago, and the prior video where I was talking about suspending yourself to charge up the blight to basically always have the blight cabin or invisibility active, you can do something like this, where I am now suspended on the ground, so I'm not even tethered, just to prove my point. So there's nothing actually physically holding me to this location, but because my wheels are not touching the ground, I'm still getting the full benefit of the Cheetah engine, which is rapidly charging any, you know, related modules I might have. So again, I can summon drones, or I can just delete them in this case, and I am traveling at the maximum speed the game allows me to travel without boosters, which is 120 kph, and I am rapidly charging the cooldown items back. Likewise, it works with the invisibility module. So for instance, if I do this, I poorly timed that, but I can basically almost guarantee that I am either invisible and or have drones out at any given point. So those are obviously active for a significantly long period of time. So I'm just going to cancel them again, and you'll see that they are going to do a pretty swift job of charging up while I am invisible, and by the time the invisibility ends, they're basically going to be fully charged. If you brought a larger, or rather the better invisibility module, if you found a way to flip yourself upside down while using Bigfoot wheels and do this, and or if you had fusions for faster recharging time for the cloak, longer faster recharging time for the drones, or longer time for the cloak, then it would basically cover that overlap. So super interesting. The application of the Skinner is because the boosters obviously don't do me any good when I'm primarily stationary, and because I can still get pushed over by enemies if I, for instance, are just walking about. So I think, honestly, probably the best way to showcase that is I'm just going to go into a patrol against AI, because I'm not a meaner. I'm going to fight bots. Just to showcase that things are going to try and whack into me and boot me around. Make an unlimited shields build. It's funny that you mentioned that. I don't know if you were here for the first, when I did the first video. Literally the reason I made this spreadsheet is because of the premise of using the Nova cabin with Aegis Prime. And then like a month later they nerfed it, so Aegis Prime only has 30% durability rather than the full durability when paired with a Nova cabin, so that kind of entirely went out the window. But you can absolutely do infinite shield builds with like the barrier 9 or the Aegis Prime or like multiple Novas. So like I said, yeah, I definitely min-max stupid stuff too. So I do it in like Mabinogi and like FPS games and whatnot. I'm just not a very meta. Okay, so I'm going to just sit here and chill, and you'll note that I get, whoops, I actually grabbed the ground by accident. I can actually get moved around pretty easily by other builds because I am, very light. I don't actually feel like booping. Boop me, Sarah. Prove my point to the masses. Excellent. Well, in any case, if I just tether myself to the ground, I'm actually dying. If I actually tether myself to the ground, then I am effectively immovable, so I'm not too chafed about that not working, although teammates might be, yep, I'm already quit. I don't fault you, Max RPM 73, nor will I fault you, Lil Ol Dragon, for not clutching up, especially when you're running 2 cannons on 1 troop. But I appreciate the effort! Alright. So, yeah, that's the premise of the Sea Urchin build. Basically, once I get the Freight Train Plow, I'm going to slap that on. I'm going to slap this up in Exhibition, and then I'm going to forget about it and probably not ever actually, use it for any reasonable purposes. But it's an interesting thought experiment, which is effectively making a wedge in all directions. And or how can you use a Skinner to tether yourself to the ground? When would that be useful? When you want to be immovable? And I know some people say, well, what if you're on Ravager's foothold map, or if you get pushed around a lot and you're worried that you're going to get pushed into the acid lake or something, then you could just keep a Skinner on you. And I don't think it's terribly viable to just always have 2 energy dedicated to a harpoon pointed on the bottom of the build, but this actually utilizes that as a rather core component of the build, and thus is not what I would consider a waste, as it might be on like any other more viable build that doesn't rely on it to be effective. Oh my god, you're totally right. Thank you, Shadow Fox. See, this is why you are useful to me. Excellent. Alright, cool. So I'm going to, no, it's fine. Just, Source, just trust me, bro. I played a match while you guys weren't looking. Pfft. Excellent. Alright, so I will actually do another sorry, Lil Ol Dragon. You just played a match and I just quit on you, and I'm going to have to do it again to display the actual build. Actually, now that you mention it, did you actually see the build? Did you see the fight thing? Or did I just do that like 30 seconds ago, like after I did it? Anyway, we're in another match. So I'm going to be showcasing this again anyway. And mind you, once again, it's more effective in raids because of the way the targeting works. They don't tend to target me. I don't know why, whether it's low power score, low health, whatever. But in any case, I can be... It is very mean to me today. I'm going to assume I'm getting prioritized explicitly because I'm a player, but that might not be entirely true. Maybe it's just a guess. Oh, that's going to hurt. No, just shoot me, Samantha! Or, sorry, just boot me. I'm trying to showcase me getting pushed around. In any case, I'm tethered to the ground. I'm extremely hard to move. And in theory, other players who aren't paying attention or if I'm physical could run into me, get flipped, get stuck, etc. whatever. So, bots and they're cheating and they're not thinking like humans, just Skynet, means that, you know, it's not necessarily a good demonstration, but I also don't want to use a terrible wedge against players because that would be feels bad. Actually, you know what? We are going to do it just because I feel like this build is so incredibly unviable. I believe there's like zero risk of actually positively affecting the match, and instead I'm probably actually going to negatively impact my teammates. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, for the first and probably only time, because I don't expect it to go well, I'm going to be taking the sea urchin out for testing against other players. Will they manage to figure out to shoot the cabin and destroy me in like 5 bullets? Who knows? But we're going to learn together. What other interesting thing is there to tell you about this build? I still managed to max out decor because decor pieces are cheap. So there's a bunch of stuff inside, including little pylon and a detour message to tell people to go around me if they're being goobers. Teammates are being goobers and do not see me, or maybe I'm invisible and I don't want to remove my invisibility. Now they can see me. Excellent. I wonder how long it's going to take to queue. Other interesting things, I'm using like solid small frames and a single large lightweight frame. The reason being that the single large lightweight frame basically has most of the other ones attached to it. So I'm not too worried about losing these small ones because, as you may have seen earlier, I still have interior wheels. And again, this build isn't designed to be crazy super combat viable. And doubly again, bots don't target frames, so it's not normally a risk that I'm going to get de-wheeled with this. And oh, excellent timing. I was running out of things to talk about. Alright, what do we got? In before there's a bunch of porcupines on the enemy team, and this is entirely invalidated by me just getting one hit. Not to say I'm not going to get one hit anyway, or that if I don't, or if I do get one hit it won't be deserved, but very high possibility I will not be able to properly showcase what I'm attempting to showcase. Interesting side note, not related to this build, but the cockpit cabin as well as the aggressor, which is the new epic battle pass cabin, they have a cabin speed of 105 by default rather than 100 like the other light cabins. So they actually only need a hot red to reach 119 kph or a oppressor or cheetah in this case to reach 120 kph. They don't actually move the cheetah to reach max speed, which is interesting, but for the sake of, you know, the perk which charges up the abilities of cooldown reduction, I felt like it was reasonable to just use the cheetah rather than hot red, which don't really provide any bonuses to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim way too high. I'm going to attempt to showcase my movability. Good combat motion. Probably before zapped. So as you can see, I'm still charging up the ability. I'm getting ignored because maybe they can see my immobile build and they're like, haha, he knows what builds. Because easy for me to die as such. Except for that guy who's very intent on shooting. It's fine. So now I am a wedge and you shall fear me, and right. So that didn't end anything expected, but like I said, it's not exactly combat effective. And admittedly, Crater, you know, one of the biggest longest range maps, is probably not a good place to do it. On Old Town, if they were still in the map in the game, or Fortress, if it was still in the game, or Sector X, which is still in the game, or maybe even East Quarter, the Syndicate map, it would probably serve better because I could effectively function as a roadblock in some location, which isn't large and open and flat. In any case, again, the main purpose of this isn't me showcasing how it is or isn't combat viable. So I will not be requeuing, but I will be staying for this match because I like scrap, and there is more scrap for this than usual. Go, big block. Show them what you made of it. Namely, 0 weapons in this case. Excellent. Alright, so that is, I think, pretty much the sea urchin build. Any questions, queries, comments, concerns? I honestly don't think there's anything else to be said about this other than there is a potential use for having a, a micro build. Now, would this be viable with the, why is it being disabled for maintenance? Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to hurry this up. Why are they disabling this for maintenance? This is news to me. Allow us to gander. Crossout news. Plan maintenance on PC servers. Cool, that's not Xbox, though. Interesting. Is there always maintenance on Friday at midnight? I don't know. I don't think so. I have a feeling somebody fucked something up. Maybe I've said too much about my suspending the cheetah engine and being able to charge abilities. Okay, well this is going to be a much shorter stream than I expected, which is terribly unfortunate. I'm not going to be able to showcase the other, the micro builds with the... Actually, maybe I can as quick as possible. Cool, so the other micro build that I'm going to showcase really quick is... And this is going to be horrible because I don't actually have it saved anywhere, so I apologize because this is going to be disgusting to view. But in any case, it is what I call the Box Buddy. So this is designed to be a micro build for a fusion build. So effectively it takes the smallest cabin that's once again functional in the game, which is the cockpit. It uses its extremely high energy for size to use very durable weapons that completely cover one side of the build. And is like the entire premise is what is the smallest, most feasibly possible combat viable combo build. So it just is, it's literally the cockpit cabin with the radio to communicate with others, namely their teammate who they will be attached to, a la decoupler, fuel for, raking in those winds, and then tacklers because they're small and extremely durable and deal decent damage. So yeah, that's like literally the entire gist. Pretty simple. So I was thinking if you had like 2 or 3 of these, you could probably just make the front of a build just a wall of tacklers that were otherwise pretty durable, and then could be transported by a sort of mothership. Cool. So really quickly, I will just go over what I was hoping to do with the wheels, as swiftly as possible with the low clearance wheels, which is terribly unfortunate. Hopefully, it'll be back up. I don't know if I will have the care to make this basically last video, which is me mucking about, because I was expecting that to be closer to an hour. But in any case, so what cool and interesting things can you do with low clearance wheels? Well, first off, we can take the cockpit cabin again, a bronze break favorite for making small things, and we can add wheels in these otherwise ghastly cutouts on the back. Personally, I normally just cover it with armor, which in the case of the Sea Urchin and the Box Buddy, sorry, I don't actually do it on here, but in the case of the Box Buddy and the Jarushi, I actually just used a comb part, which is that, just because it fits best, and you can't really put anything else actually functional there. Fun fact, while we're talking about the cockpit cabin and a small package with a insanely high energy limit, I think it's also worth mentioning that you can do something like this. You could also theoretically use a radio part instead if you weren't worried about the durability of this part, and you can attach a gas gen, and voila, you have a 9 by 3 by, I guess technically it's length width height, so it's 9 by 6 by 3 core of a build, 4 high if you include the frame, that is able to carry 15 energy. So ridiculously small, ridiculously compact, and a lot of energy in a small package. So you can use the low clearance wheel, there, where otherwise you can't really have a whole lot of stuff. And once again, due to the width of the cabin and the width of the wheel space required, you could probably get away with actually just doing this on any build where you normally have something behind the cabin anyway, because, like, you know, probably room unless you're, like, absolutely cramming this full of stuff, like I do. So I'm actually not the target audience for that sort of idea. As far as other cabins, I think it's notable to mention that some that have the, I don't know what they're actually called, but I'm going to call them integrated fenders, like the Pilgrim or the Humpback or the Cohort or the Jawbreaker, actually means that you can fit a little wheel in there. Now mind you, you can do the same with the starter wheels, but once again, because the low clearance is much smaller, I think it is safe to say it is much more securely hidden. It doesn't actually stick out past the width of the cabin, thus you could armor it, you could put stuff in there, and again, because they don't stick out as much vertically, it's also, I think, a little bit more viable if you want to microbuild. Also, this is absolutely fucking hilarious, because the cabin is like 4 times the size of the wheelbase. Phenomenal. Okay, what is a more extreme example of that, you might ask? Well, what if I said full YOLO and used the Cohort? Immediately did the wrong math and used the wrong terms. And voila, I am the T-Rex incarnate. I have a large head and a small body. Phenomenal. What else can we use this for really quickly on cabins that have cutouts? So the Griffin suffers from the same problem as the cockpit, which is that it has a middle section and then it has these fenders, these integrated fenders, but unlike the cockpit, it's an actual middle section rather than the cockpit sort of imaginary. It's negative space on the cockpit, whereas this is positive space, which means, again, it is even more frustrating to try and fit anything there. And Sans, I don't even think you can fit normal medium wheels or light wheels in there, to be honest. I think it's just so particular. Yeah, like that's barely using any of the space of the fender. If we use low clearance wheels, voila, we now have entirely hidden low clearance wheels inside. Phenomenal. Alright, and what is the coup de grace, you may ask? What is the most important one out of all these builds that I actually wanted to test and showcase the itty bitty wheels on for my sanity and yours? Although the Dusk is kind of like a mini better example of the Griffin, because it actually has cutouts that are usable due to the lack of the weird shape and fender. This is also phenomenal use. But the big important one, methinks, is the Ghost Cabin, which I like to rag on a lot, and everybody should rag on it because it's bad. Cool. So, very interesting thing about the Ghost is the devs poured all their hate into the gaming community with it, and it's just completely unviable for using pretty much any wheel in the integrated fenders on the front to begin with. So I'm hoping, this is me testing for the first time, last minute, the 11th hour, if I can, no, I literally can't attach the small wheels in here either. Okay, cool, so my entire dreams and hopes have been dashed, but to be fair, the Ghost Cabin has been notorious for having a, like, literally the worst hitbox since, like, it came out, so this is probably nothing that should be shocking. But what if I make it inside? Oh, no, yeah. Sorry guys, Fun Machine is broken. Devs said no dice-eronies with the ghost-eronies. I mean, that's kind of better, but I still don't like it. Alright, well this is probably going to close out before I can actually do anything. But I think it's worth mentioning that because of the lack of the centering or the fender use of the wheels, and because you can't actually put anything underneath due to there being positive space there, when I made my MiG-24, I actually had to kick out this front wheel all the way out there because I couldn't actually put landing gear directly underneath the front of the cabin, you know, where you might expect the landing wheel gear to go. Okay, excellent. So I think that's probably it for Microbuilds. I was hoping, obviously, for more time, more space. Let's see what else. It'd be very cool to try and see. Let's see if the Gorilla Cabin is any good at this. Look at that. It basically completely encases the wheel. good job, Gorilla Cabin. You are significantly better than the Ghost Cabin. Although I believe regular wheels also have that. I'm also going to do, I probably don't have enough time, I'm going to attempt to do the hot rod real quick, because that is also notorious for having a terrible collider for the very parts that it's designed to work with. So there's the front, there's the back, and we're going to ignore the countdown and pretend that it's wrong. Oh, man, they were right on that. Shame. Server is under, but why? Why is the server undergoing maintenance? I must ask. Is it even undergoing maintenance? Is it perhaps just that they pushed a hotfix or an update and it says that it needs to undergo maintenance? Let us find out together. And while I wait for that to load, I will grab some delicious dihydrogen monoxide, the hydrating beverage of choice of literally every creature that is not a human being because they don't have any choice. Aha, it is an update. All right, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? It's probably going to be full reinstall. Oh, what are they doing? Every update I have gotten for Crossout thus far, to my recollection, has been a full reinstall and thus an 8-ish gig download. I don't actually know how big the game is. I don't know if it'll tell me while I am updating. Yeah, like it's 9.6 gigs, and normally I have a feeling some of that is just temporary data for the installation. Actually, I don't think it's normally a gig of saved data. Yeah, just reserve space in any case. It was normally a full reinstall, so the question of the hour ends up being, what is the update? To answer your question, if by SteelSeries you are not referring to the headset brand and instead are referring to the Steel Championship of the Crossout event, that would make sense, but that already actually came out, although I could check and see if they have any updates in the patch notes. This was in already. That's how I had this, because the penalty pack was already in. We already got the wheels, the whole shebang. Let's see, bug fix. Nope. Updates. Nope. What about PC? No, no. Update, no. No, 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 no. No. What about the forum post? Doesn't seem to have any updated information. Doesn't have an update section. Was it edited? Probably. Was it edited recently? I don't think it was actually edited at all. 1 day ago, edited. Yeah, so this doesn't even say edited. I don't think devs are immune to the edited speech thing, so I do not think they have actually posted the difference. You ate English? Well, I got some bad news for you. It's the only language I speak, so if you want to continue speaking with me, unfortunately you have no choice but to continue using the 3 languages in a trench coat that is Anglais. Oh, heck, I didn't even notice the So remote play is in progress. Might affect your download speed. So I'm at a blistering 1 megabit per second. So I'm gonna stop streaming. And again, you're just gonna have to pull the trust me, bro. But my speed is going to significantly increase. It is at 46, 62, 86, 114, 139, and 186. And stabilizing just shy of 200 megabits per second. So yeah, this update is going to be done extremely quickly and not at a rate of 1 megabit per second. Only language you speak as well. That is, I want to say a shame, but honestly it seems like probably the most useful language, because I know while there are more native speakers of, for instance, like Chinese, and probably, why I say Chinese, but it's Mandarin, I guess, or Hindi, I think, in India, just due to the fact of them having a billion people. I mean, English is pretty much ubiquitous. I'm sure you could go to China or India and speak those languages and not have very many difficulties, if any at all, unless you go to like rural areas. And conversely, you'd probably not be able to do a whole lot of coming to major city centers here in like Canada or US and only speaking your home language and having it work out. So English is quite useful in that regard. Now, if you want the opposite, Tagalog is a language used, I believe, in a small sect of the Philippines, and is effectively a dead language outside of, I think, like a few thousand people. So that is a useful language you could use to like that already has established rules. You won't have to come up with your own language or make secret codes or anything, that you could use to communicate with people discreetly, so long as you both obviously trained in the language, because the chance of getting overheard is like 0. That was mentioned in an episode of Preppers, which on the Netflix series Doomsday Preppers, which was quite interesting. A dude in Saskatchewan, Canada, bought like 16 buses, like school buses, put them in the ground, covered them in concrete, and then basically has what he calls Arc 2, which is supposed to be like a continued like society. I mean, it's the Arc, you know, like the biblical thing, for like if society gets that slap at that reset button again. I think it's interesting to note that they said that it was designed specifically for children in mind. So I don't know if they have like an age limit or like a rotating roster where they just like accept people in and then yeet them out or something. Obviously some adults would have to be there because kids are fucking stupid, and even people my age are stupid, myself included. So it's entirely possible that you know, if they literally had like a strict minimum age requirement for being able to go in there, that all those children would die. Anyway, game's good. We're going to stream. We're going to see what's new. We're going to have a less panicky time going through the Microbuilds. Good stuff. Any requests, Shadow Fox, as a very rare owner of the low clearance wheel that I am, as well as many cabins, because I lack self-control and min-max weird things. Is there any specific build or build type or cabin that you'd like to see the micro wheels experimented with? Probably the biggest notable one I don't have is the Machinist, which would be hilarious because it also has that cutout at the back, and I suspect it's probably large enough to store like quite a few of those wheels. That being said, you also run into the actual functional issue of it's all at the back, so just like the cohort build, it would probably tip onto its face. What do you mean it's undergoing maintenance? I just updated. I could just... Do they even post anything about Hawaii? To be fair, technically the maintenance only started 2 minutes ago, even though they kicked me off 7 minutes early. And the real question is, how long is it down and for what reason? I can tell that Shadow Fox is thinking very deeply about what it is they're going to ask me. Oops. and definitely not paying attention instead to the stream. Saying connecting for a while now, no damn. Got my hopes up. Took a few seconds to think. Oh, what a cruel mistress you are. Crossout Debs. I guess you're not probably all cruel mistresses, yet nonetheless colloquially. Alright, I'm gonna check games and add-ons for updates again, because why is it I back out and it just doesn't... Oh, because I'm dumb and didn't go to games and apps. Oh, no, not you. Games and apps. Oh, there we go. See if there's another update. I doubt it. Who knows? Made a video back with the aggressor with goblins because steering sucks, so I get to use the perk a lot. That is an interesting premise of purposefully handicapping yourself in the attempt to not handicap a different part of the build. I don't imagine it was too effective, was it? Like, did that actually work? I want to imagine probably not, but you never know. No update for that. So what if we launch Crossout again? This is play nice. Yeah, I can understand why that may be. And to be fair, too, I'm not saying my microbuilds are necessarily useful either, so I think it's just interesting in general to take the premise of what if I was taking a build and made it just as small as possible, just for the lulz. I think it's a real neat premise, and certainly a source of entertainment. At the very least, approximately 2 hours worth of entertainment if these videos are anything worth judging it by. Then you actually add the armor and the weapon and the modules, and then you try it in combat, and that's you're looking at least 3 hours minimum. Is that it loading? The secret ingredient was turning it off and then back on again. Oh man. There's reason they're the go-to steps. Boy. Well, I will say, oh yeah, baby! Who knows what the update even was. Alright, we can continue right where we left off in Disappointmentville about the... Just gonna poke around and see if there's anything like extremely obvious that they reset. Evidently they did not reset anything weekly. They have not added any sale items. I wonder if they changed any of the packs. Because I know the Inventor pack, for instance, is being discontinued on PS4. I don't see any pack sales. That's still there. This is still here. It's still the same price. So it's not store stuff. I still have 300 storage space. It still costs 2 to upgrade. I still have 11 slots. Still costs 3 to upgrade. Still 2 days worth of EXP away from leveling up and getting more phantom parts. Yippee! I can make a Batman car. I know everybody else and their mom has already done it, but I will also do it, and I will do a much cooler job because I'm definitely not biased about my own creations. Or I'll get the Bright End fenders, which is also cool because there's 6 more heavy fenders, which is spicy. Let's see, what else could it possibly change? Tech trees, have they changed the lines on anything to be more sensible? Is the whirlwind detached from the still wind? No, because that'd make too much sense. Alright, what else do we got? Nothing's changed here. It's the low clearance OP. People are really liking the steering wheels, not gonna lie. I was not expecting them to be so significantly more expensive than the regular ones. But understandable, because if you're gonna use the micro wheels, why not use the itsy bitsy teeny weeny? Blue and gray. Low clearance. I almost had a rhyme going on. Yeah, you got me stumped. I have no idea what they changed, to be honest. I have no idea what the update was for. Let's see. It was Shadow Fox talking about goal as a YouTuber, make content based around building skills and derpiness, not for effectiveness. I can appreciate that. May I direct your attention towards the... Actually, I deleted it. But it was the crab clone until I deleted it because it was a crab build and not actually functional. May I direct your eyes towards the MI24 that I made for the contest, the Murica contest. Look at that nice eagle mural. It's got a crown of bullets and wings of guns, and it barely hovers upright. But here's the cool thing about it. It has a fuck yeah Murica button. That's cool. And it also has a take off from the ground button. And now we're a helicopter hovering around. Crazy. Not viable again. But crazy. I can appreciate the lack of extreme viability. More wheels, baby. I need some steering low clearance wheels in my life, though. I feel like we have a good stockpile of low clearance, but not a significant clearance steering. Alright, so I think I'm going to do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? Continue testing for now. I'm very, so basically I want to buy a fuck ton of these low clearance wheels because I want to fuse them and try and see to what degree I can actually make like a semi-viable build, and or like adding them to other builds just for the extra tonnage or lulls, because this is not a whole lot of tonnage admittedly. I'm probably gonna fuse them. I make bad decisions. I don't have infinite coin, but I have enough coin that I can fuse a fuck ton of them with minimum regretty, not zero regretty, but minimum amounts. Let's see. Where are the hot rod parts? I skipped past them. Classic. I did not skip. Where did they go? I'm not crazy, right? We're gonna take fire starter, engineers, nomads. There we go. Okay. Wow. That right there is fly AF. Look at that. Look at that. We have not had the opportunity. Look, I literally can't even move them any other location. That is the one perfect spot where they fit. This is beautiful because you can't have, to my recollection, other wheels that actually fit there nice. Because I know you can have them like go, thank you, like through it, right? Where you got the wheel on one side and the suspension on the other. But like you can't actually put anything on the inside because historically up to this point, the wheels needed 3 pips, and obviously that looks kind of horrible. And now this one only needs 2, so it is available to be the lowest of lowriders. Alright, so what this update has actually blessed us with is the ability to, and I'm not going to pretend that this is going to make the hot rod finally viable, because it is a blue cabinet. Viability is not the point of it. But we have a super cool, willing to buy 2x8 frames limit. There you go. Lost my train of thought, but that's alright because. Oh no! Okay, I take it all back. I cannot believe that. Because of the centering of this mesh, of like one quarter of a pip from the looks of it, I can't actually do this with the front. Oh my god. My life is actually decreased in quality finding that out. I thought we were gonna finally have a nice art. Hot red build. We're on the verge of greatness. Oh, is it the... Hold up. I might be mildly overreacting. Is the problem just the green? Yeah, baby! Alright, we don't need grows where we're going. Excellent. Faith in humanity restored. What garbage. Does this allow me to attach after? No. So weird. Why would that... Is it the frames that are in the way? It wouldn't make sense, right? Has that ever stopped game developers? Okay, no. So... This is 90% fly. That's my official final statement. Oh, I can't put anything there! No, that's not good. Okay. Less Asimmer. But, like, it's almost perfect. Oh, I also don't have steering wheels, lol. I'm just the kid's toy car that only moves forward and backwards and doesn't turn because the axles are fixed. I had to use 2 non-steering instead of 2 steering ones because physics and steer with a 2-second delay. Yeah. Yeah, likewise I can do that, right? I'm gonna just restart. If I drive straight forward, I only go straight forward. You have a little bit of give with them, but it's very slow. I'm sure you are well aware. The secret ingredient is just only driving into the edge of the map at an angle in which it bounces you off into the direction you want to go. That is the Galaxy brain play. See? I guess technically you might also be able to like fake it out a little bit with air control if they happen to give you more than when on ground. Okay. How are we going to test it with the ramp? Obviously. Let's see if it's easier to turn in air than on ground. I doubt it, but maybe. Yeah. Alright, cool. So I think it is obvious at this point that I need to start shelling out significantly more cash for fellow clearance wheels of the steering variety. At least 2 of them. I'm going to get just 2 of them, and then I will worry about picking up one later. Perhaps at a better price. Perhaps not. Alright. It's so close. This is almost more infuriating than having it like not let me place the wheels. Like just the fact that it's pulling that crap with like the 1 pip wide front or 1 pip deep front being like, no, you're in the way of the suspension of the tires. So close to greatness. I prefer it because at least the tires are in position and I can just not look at the front of the car and pretend that there's not, you know, the grille missing. Almost though. Let's see, how good am I at figuring out how to make stuff look not like shit? We're gonna learn today. That is not the answer. What else we got? We got not that. What about if I rotate it? Okay. See, we're kind of getting somewhere. That's not the solution either, but it's a good start. So it's not that entire area blocked off per se. Getting somewhere. I don't know if we're getting there very fast. I don't even know if it's where we want to go, but we're getting there. That could almost work. Need a little hood ornamenty thing that looks semi-legit. That does not look similar. Buggy engine cover upside down. I don't even know what the buggy parts are called, to be honest. That guy. It's not bad. I don't think I like it the best that it could be, but it's definitely better than that and that. Well, what else do we got? I think that this would work. Oh, probably, yeah, it's missing side connection pips. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. Beautiful. We'll just patch it up with another car's front. no one will know the difference as long as they only view it from straight on. Excellent. I guess technically I can likewise do this. Oops. Oh, interesting that that doesn't work. But the other ones do. So that is what's giving us a problem. This little 1x1 by like 1-ish pip. So if there was like something that was V-shaped, it was poorly drawn. But if this corner was gone on that side as well, then we'd be good. But I don't think there's anything that's like a half slope. Other than the, you know, parts that are these, like the corner pieces, or like the avia part. miss any corner pieces I should have here? Not other than the small strut, which is probably also not the solution due to it having like no space. Does it actually work though? Yeah, it again looks bad though. Likewise, I guess technically the comb would work, but it probably looks horrible. Don't actually mind the curved cut of it, although the frames kind of get in the way, and it doesn't even matter if I move them back, because then, you know, there's still a point, and then if you just go down 1 pip, there's those, regardless of how far back they are. So that's probably not it. I definitely do not use the syndicate parts for anything, but no. I could make an exception if they make a Superfly front cover here. You know, I'm not a fan of that. A little nose cut looks cool. Not you. Just slap one of these. I think that might be the answer. Can't believe they added 3 gigs to the data I have to pay for the month, and yet they did not correct this gross oversight. How could you, devs? You telling me your first priority when making these wasn't being like, hey, should we fix all the vehicles who have droopy fenders? The answer is yes. Yes, we should. The last was not complete. So this is not the solution, but it does fit. That actually also looks pretty fly. Yeah, like I'm sure I'd have to put something on the front anyway, at the very least, for like the bottom part here where it slopes. But at face value, I think I'm lacking this. That actually fits quite nicely in there. It is probably the only use I've ever seen for the thick mud pipe guard. But I also don't think that it looks as cool. So, what about our friend the scavengers? That's unsurprising. Surprising. That looks horrible. Okay. But what if we do... some idea. kind of falls back into the almost works category. I will say though, I do like how it seems to sit a little bit more flush. But can't knock the Syndicate's style points, yo. Oh, what about this? This has a cut-up point. Kind of works again. Boxy though. Fills the space really nice, which is probably the best part about it. That slope almost works perfectly, but is like, you know, the slope's on the inside of the part on the back side. Like if these struts weren't in the way, and if the, you know, the sides weren't in the way, and if it was basically just that slope, this would be perfect. But alas, it is not. No, I think that might actually be the solution. It's also like the smallest bumper you can get, which helps its case. What other options? I think that's literally it for bumpers. No, I'm not opposed to the look of that. Like, it looks kind of jarring on the corners, but overall it's not bad. But let us go full circle and try it as per your suggestion. Buggy engine. And then looks horrible from the side. From the front, not too shit. Decisions. I say it as if this is even like a build that I'm going to be keeping around instead of deleting once the stream is in. Not sold me these in yet. Oops. Truly the world is a cool place. Oh wow, people are only paying $125. I'm overpaying. Gotta get a bit of wheel guy. There we go. Obviously that's the problem. I was offering too much money, so I was putting off legitimate buyers. Obviously. Honestly, I think that might be as good as it gets. I don't know. Unless there's some like decor pieces I can absolutely cheat on this like, front part entirely with. Like, If they are, the question to follow up is, do I have them? Well, I certainly appreciate your interest in extending my reach. Soon I will be powerful enough to reach across the globe. With all this cross-promotion between you and I and Justin, soon they will die. No, okay, thank you for obviously sticking around so long, considering how A, that was not necessary, and B, it is 12:35 p.m. PST. I probably will also be done with this very shortly. But if you don't have any other ideas or requests for this, then I think I will probably call it at that as well. Once I'm done my super fly low build.